Nobody wants to go to prison, Abby. Why, really? If it requires you being a sly, be the sly there. Wear the name with pride. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ogonna. If you're new, if you are not new, thank you so much for stopping by again. And if you are new, make sure you click on the subscribe button and join the family. We will be happy to have you. Anyway, today's video is not the video that should have gone up today, but in the light of things that have happened recently, I just thought to make this video just to make a bit of a comment about certain things that have been happening. The video that should have gone up today will most likely go up on Thursday, so make sure you look out for it. It's a fun one. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Down to the business of the day. I'm sure you've already seen the title. So I'm sure that a lot of us are aware of the death of Osinachi, the gospel artist, and it's very normal when things like this happen, especially in Nigeria, where you see lots of people making comments about how she should have spoken out, she should have, left and things like that. But then the major thing I wanted to really talk about basically is, what do people around these people do to help? At the end of the day, I'm aware that marriage ideally should be forever, right? But then in a situation where your life has been threatened or your mental health is being threatened, I feel like you should try and get help. But then I'm also not oblivious of the fact that it can be very difficult in situations like this. When we talk about like physical abuse, sexual abuse, there's a lot of difficulty when it comes to situations like that, because these people who it happens to, like these people who experience things like this, they are very much aware of the way the society will look at them. Like literally, society will not look at them like they're the victims they actually are. Like there's just always that stigma that comes with things like divorce, sexual abuse. We talk about rape and the rest of it, but then I don't want to dive into rape. Let's just focus on physical abuse, violence in marriage or relationships in general. It's really, how do you as a person make it easy for someone who's experiencing something as dangerous as that to actually pick the best option for themselves? Because you can easily just sit in your house and in the comfort of your room and say, oh, she should have left, or she should have done this, or she should have done that. If I was the one, this would not have happened. And I could easily just sit here and say, oh, I believe you would have done all that if it was you in the same situation. But then again, how supportive are you as a person? We all make up the people around them. We're members of their church, we're members of their workspace, we're members of their community. What do we do? What do we say when things like this are happening? Are we the ones who just say, just manage, just endure? People have been in situations like that. Or are we the ones that say, if you leave, how will people look at you? So we always seem to have a lot of things to say when it comes to things like this, but what do we actually do when people in our environment, when our friends, when members of our family are faced with things like this? Are we actually supportive enough to encourage them and give them the willpower that they need to actually do the right thing in such situations? Or do we just find a way to suppress them, suppress their feelings, and just make things more difficult for them? If things like this happen, you could easily say, oh, she didn't leave because she didn't really have any money. Where would she start from? Or what about the children? I don't know, we're very quick to make certain remarks that are not helpful in the long run if we actually look at it. Because someone can actually have the money that they need to sustain themselves on their own, and then the person is still worried about how society would look at them. The person is still worried about how their religious group would look at them. The person is still worried about how people at their workplace would look at them. Because no matter how much we say, don't care about how people look at me, don't care what people have to say, at the end of the day, we're human beings, we're social in nature. So the things happening around you would still find a way to affect you, whether you like it or not. You might think, I have a thick skin, these things don't matter. But which would be very good anyway, but half the time, how many people actually have thick skins? A lot of people are very worried about how people perceive them, and you can't really blame them because they've grown up with people, they've grown up in an environment where people around them, maybe people who are even much older than them, were very considerate about what people were saying about them and about other people within their communities. Also, they've now gotten used to the fact that people will talk, and sometimes people are not strong enough, if I should put it like that, to withstand what they think people would say about them when they make certain choices, even if those choices are for their own good. So I'm really just here to say that no matter how you talk about these things, unless you actually do something to help as a person, as an individual, wherever you find yourself, things like this will continue to happen. Yes, if we're only a little bit kinder, if we're a little bit, more empathetic to people's situations, if we're a little bit more willing to encourage them to consider themselves. Because at the end of the day, even if we talk about the fact that marriage, like I said in the beginning, should ideally be forever, good and fine, but if both parties are not doing things to make the relationship conducive for themselves, why should someone die for it? Why, really? I just think it's very unnecessary, if you ask me. While I believe that you love people, you're willing to sacrifice for them, but at the end of the day, there is a greater purpose. To not be mistaken, this is not even me saying that you have to divorce the person or you have to get separated, but I just think that when it comes to a lot of things like this, because it's usually close family members, a lot of people tend to be very sentimental and they're not objective with what they have to say. They're not objective with their suggestions. They're not very, they just tend to bring sentiment into play. But I think that when it comes to things that have to do with life and death, things that have to do with, dangerous situations, I believe drastic decisions need to be taken. So put sentiment aside and do what needs to be done. If you don't have the strength to leave someone, or you around the person, you don't have the strength to suggest that they leave the person, maybe because you don't want to be that person who asks them or who asks someone to be divorced, report the person. You're their neighbor, you see things going on there. These things are crimes. These things are provided for by the law. The law literally makes provision for them. That's my point. If someone hits you, report them. Don't pretend like everything is fine. Don't term it home accidents, because that seems to be quite popular as well. Don't pretend about things that are wrong with you, especially when those things are threatening your life. I'm just really here, like I said, to drop my comments about it, and I just really want to emphasize the legal aspect of it. Even if you feel like you do not want to make a comment about something happening in someone's life or someone's marriage because you feel like, oh, if the person is there, who am I to now be the one trying to come up with solutions for them? You're an accomplice, so just so you know, you're an accomplice. Some people may also be bothered about being termed a sly. They are the ones who expose the family secrets that they're trying to cover. They are the neighbor who did not keep quiet about something bad happening. Things like that. If it requires you being a sly, be the sly there. Wear the name with pride. Because at the end of the day, who does it help if you attempt the good neighbor and then your neighbor dies because they are beating them? Or someone's child dies because they're assaulting them? This thing is physical assault too, no jokes. I feel like people don't really understand the grievance. A lot of things have been said, but I would just like to try and summarize as much as I can, just so that you get the point of this video. Apart from talking about the social aspects, where you see people being afraid of stigma, where you see people being afraid to advise people to leave certain situations, or where you see people advising people to, manage and endure and things like that. Then there is also the legal aspects where these things are crimes. Criminal assault is a thing. The Constitution provides for the protection of your dignity as a person. Someone brutalizing you, someone beating you up, it's against the Constitution. Your fundamental right is being infringed upon. someone's fundamental rights has been infringed upon. So even if the person in the situation is not taking it upon themselves to report, you as their friend that knows about it, you as their neighbor that knows about it, you as a family member that knows about it, you can help them. If you suggest these options to them and they're not willing to take it, you can take it upon yourself to do it for them. They might dislike you, they might hate you in the long run, but at the end of the day, let's look at the bigger picture. This is someone's life we're talking about. It shouldn't be something that decisions about should just be made based on short-term considerations. That's just really what I'm trying to say, and I don't even want to get pissed, because sometimes thinking about things like this can just be very agitating and annoying. But at the end of the day, it has happened. She's dead now. It's not like anything can be done particularly about it, but I still think that he can be reported for murder at least. And if all those people who tweeted about it and made comments about it and uploaded on their status are willing to go and testify as witnesses, then he can actually go in for it. At least, if not for anything, it's not going to bring her back, but it could serve as a form of deterrent, way to deter people from doing things like that in the future. At least, even if they don't do it out of respect for the people around them or the person they're in a relationship with, at least for fear of going to jail. Nobody wants to go to prison, Abby. So yeah, if people begin to go to prison, people begin to go in for things that they do, a lot of people will take things more reasonably. The person believes that they can do anything and get away with it. Really, they're just going to continue. So this is just me saying that the law provides for things like this. Be as nice as you can be, make suggestions to people when they're in need of help. And by the way, I'm going to leave sections of the law that actually make provisions for these things, so that it's not even difficult for you to now start saying, where do I find it? Or you can just meet any lawyer around you that you know. I'm sure they'll be willing to help you with things like this. But then again, I just really want to say that even family members should try to stop concealing things like this. These things are serious matters. They should not be concealed. They should not be looked upon lightly. And then also, society should be kind and not bring stigma to people who actually go out of their way to make reports about these things, because it's all these things, all these different things that come into play to make people start trying to hide things like this, or trying to trivialize them, or you get my point, Sha. So that's just really it, and that's all I want to say in this video. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching the video all the way to this point, and try to be helpful, try to be a good member of the society, try to be good friends to your friends, try to be a reasonable family member, try to be what you preach about in your religious gatherings. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about being a good Christian or a good Muslim or claiming to have good principles about your life, but how do you behave in situations like this? What do you say? What do you do? All these things matter in the long run. It's not just about talking. So that's really it. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, the video that should have gone up, that didn't go up because I really wanted to put this one out, is going to go up on Thursday. So make sure you check it out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.